Well, our last presentation is a joint presentation by Mary Chute and also Linda Langschied. And the topic is From Archivist to Activist, Fostering Innovation on the New Jersey Digital Highway. I always like the ring of that, on the New Jersey Digital Highway. Let me just say a word about our speakers. Mary L. Chute was appointed the New Jersey State Librarian in 2012. And prior to this appointment, she worked for a decade as Deputy Director for Libraries at the Institute of Museum and Library Services. This is the primary source of federal funding targeted at building the capacity of the nation's libraries and museums. And at this institute, she served as senior leader, focused on program analysis and development, strategic planning, financial administration, national policy development, partnerships, much else beside. Prior to her work at the Institute, Mary worked in public and state libraries and also served as the state librarian for Delaware. Her academic background includes master's degrees in both library science and art history. And Linda Langschied, I am delighted to say, is Digital Projects Librarian in the Scholarly Communication Center at the Alexander Library of the Rutgers University Libraries. And as you know, you are in the SCC right now, so this is as good as it gets. Linda obtained her MLS degree from the University of Michigan, and her focus is on statewide collaborations and service. And Linda was the primary, or rather principal investigator, and currently serves as manager of the New Jersey Digital Highway. This is a statewide portal, as you'll hear, to cultural heritage resources from the state's libraries, museums, archives, and was funded, in fact, by the Institute of Museum and Library Services. And it's a fantastic collaboration between Rutgers University Libraries, the New Jersey State Library, and the New Jersey Division of Archives and Records Management. Linda also manages the New Jersey Environmental Digital Library. I saw a presentation on this just last week, which is a collaboration with the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. Without further ado, Linda Langschied and Mary Chute, please take the stage.
Okay with your title? Are you okay with the title?
Oh, yeah.
She just absorbed our title.
I'm just concerned about this, if I can be a little bit of a librarian here. I want to make sure we don't damage it.
You'll just go right into the archives. So basically, let me go to our Preservation and Conservation Division right now.
Yep, here. Oh, we're going to have two mics. That's great. I don't think we'll do too much of the Huntley-Brinkley here. Yeah, right, exactly. No, you don't want that. Not for me. No, there might be a better singer out there. I don't have any slides. Do you have any slides? If you have slides, you can at least put your intro up. Our job is to bring this all in home here, and that's a real challenge. This has just been wonderful. To me, it's the whole concept that Invention is still alive and well, and this isn't all about just doing the archival role. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. I've only been in New Jersey as the state librarian for 1 year and 11 months. However, a decade ago, March 1st, in 2004, I was the one bringing the checks. I came because New Jersey won the IMLS lottery with cutouts of 3 giant checks, one around researching the value of school librarians, one about recruiting librarians for the 21st century, and the one that started the New Jersey Digital Highway. So it is absolutely a delight. I find myself a little choked up even thinking about it, to be here a decade later and look at the wonderful projects that are documented in this phenomenal innovation. It wasn't an invention in its own right, I guess. I think it was more of an innovation. But so many of the words that I had on my talk have already come up. The power of collaboration, the power of innovation, the working together, the creativity, and the value of building on those shoulders of giants, looking at what has come before. So whether we're looking back 140 years, or whether we're looking back, what we say, 67 to the transistor, or whether we're looking back a decade to the beginning of the New Jersey Digital Highway, we really are building on what has come before and continually innovating and making it even better. What this project did was to anticipate a need. I mean, that's the way I saw it back 10 years ago. It was anticipating that there was going to be this desire for the digital content. so that we could access it and we could preserve. Those pieces are absolutely still there, alive and well. I think the digital highway itself is an example of that innovative spirit, as well as being a vehicle through which we are managing to preserve and make accessible all these other wonderful items. We know there's been evolution through this. I'm here with my colleague, Cheryl O'Connor from the Library Link NJ, our consortium. And we did a lot of strategic planning for the libraries in New Jersey last year. We looked at key factors. We came up with hot trends that we had to watch, so we could do our work to the biggest benefit of the people of New Jersey. And access to information, preservation of our materials, looking for new funding streams, being ready to innovate, and always being ready to collaborate. We're right at the top. I would say probably about 4 months ago, Cheryl came up to me and said, well, this year we worked on maker spaces. This was our strategic planning related initiative. I'm thinking this coming year, we want to look ahead and look at digitization because we're getting more and more call for this. It was perfect timing. We know that there have been changes in the field of digitization. We know there are other players out there now. There was a time when New Jersey Digital Highway was that first place where state libraries and statewide initiative joined with the academic community or the research community to do this. Now we're living in the land of the digital public library, and they're looking for state hubs. A few states are positioned very well because they've got that seed for that hub. New Jersey is one of them. Marianne and I were talking earlier today about it. It puts us in just the right place at the right time. So the State Library is going to use its convening role and bring together the people who are right to be in this conversation as we move ahead and work with Library Link NJ and Rutgers and the Digital Highway and other initiatives that are out there. All the digitization done in the state isn't necessarily going to live on the New Jersey Digital Highway, but it's all going to be able to work together. And that's our goal. And I know Linda's role up here, I was kind of doing the intro for Linda, but Linda's going to talk about what happens next. Again, it has just been a delight to be here, and I'm going to turn it over to you and then go around and back to watch you from above. And if there are questions in the end that involve me, I'm happy to come back down.
Yeah, we're real high tech. Is this working? Okay, thank you. Thanks for the introduction, Mary. From archivist to activist, the title of our joint presentation today. The point of our collecting information into any kind of repository, any archive, whether it be physical or digital, why we do it, it's because we want to make sure that it's available, whoever wants it, whoever needs it, whenever they do. We don't actually collect it for ourselves much. So it's really about serving our public, serving our patrons. And whereas Mary has been, in my mind, in this amazing world of the higher level planning, I would call my experience something like my friend Ron, who was one of these AT&T, Bell Labs, Lucent people, calls it the bit bucket. I would call it the trenches. I have learned so much in 10 years about running a digital library, and it has not all been easy or pretty, but it's all been very rewarding, and in the end, I'm so happy with the results. So here we are in New Jersey. New Jersey's a pretty small state geographically, but oh my goodness, the institutions they have, the libraries, the historical societies, the great institutions, the little tiny ones, and I have done collections with the individual. We have a collection called My Jersey Roots. We had people come in on a Rutgers Day one year and bring their images, and we put up their family collections. And we have tons of ideas and lots of energy. It'll only get you so far. What we need is to find more traction and to be more collaborative and to be more strategic, and we'll talk about that more later in a minute. Anyway, we are a very old state. We do preserve our materials, and where did George Washington not sleep? You can't find a place, because we've got it all. So New Jersey's a state of many firsts. Our light bulb and streptomycin, it just keeps coming up. We also love that we developed the LED display, and bubble wrap. Does this guy look like one of those contestants on Project Runway? Right? Okay, so the New Jersey is a state of engaged citizen historians that value their history. And I knew that when I first moved here from Michigan, oh so many years ago. When I go to New Jersey websites looking for stuff, because I like to find out who's got stuff that we might try to engage with our projects, there are so many of them. It goes on and on and on. The number of, some of it's our geographical history, right? The number of municipalities. But right here we've got Sandy Hook. We've got the New Jersey inventors. Like Corey, I can't see anything. You can probably see what this last one is, and I will move on. So we're also a state that has a proud tradition of library service. This is the old reading room at Newark Public Library. Newark. What did I say? You've got a southern accent. So this is the Newark Reading Room, Newark Public Library. And probably many of you here know that Newark Public Library is on some very hard times. Their hours are severely restricted. I think they're only open 4 days a week now. Many of our urban libraries are suffering this state. One thing that we can try to do to alleviate some of the pain of that is to try to make their materials more broadly available. Easier said than done. They have a huge collection and not very much staffing. So these are one of the places where we have to figure out strategies to make things work. Ideally, we'll make the library physical space work too. And these are some of the other libraries around. I can only speak for one of them, and it's the one right now. That would be our lobby, and I can tell because of the brown and green carpet that someone said looks like we spilled gravy. Okay, so how do we grow our information role? We need to preserve for the long term. We need to provide compelling collections. We can't digitize everything, and we have to make hard choices about what we do. We need critical context to immerse us in the past. A bunch of random pictures don't necessarily inform very well. We need to have them because you never know, though, what will inform. So again, it's one of those lines that we have to follow and sometimes cross. One of the things we do for context is to take these individual images, materials, and we give them context. Mary Ann talked this morning about our portals for, our exhibit portals. So both of these, one New Jersey Digital Highway, the other Special Collections and University Archives, were created physically, broken down, imaged, metadata applied, that is descriptive information for all the separate images. They live there all alone, floating in the big library. They can be found whether you're really interested in Chinese exclusion. It's also about naturalization. It's also about police malfeasance in the times of the early immigrants of the Chinese to New York and New Jersey. But they also live within the context that was created by the original portal. These are the kind of specialized services that we've worked on very hard in the past several years. New Jersey invents, the topic of today. Please join me outside during the reception. We do have a starter collection. It is drawn from existing collections, state library collections, New Jersey Digital Highway, Special Collections, University Archives. We will continue to grow it. Again, our materials can be found in those separate places as they live, but we can also put structure and context around them. This is one of the things that I think makes Rutgers Digital Library, including NJDH, so special. New Jersey invents. They invent fun things. These are just some examples that I wanted to show you of the materials that until today were only available through Special Collections and University Archives. And I'll tell you, they are the best people and they will find anything for you. But it's not right at your fingertips. Now it is. So we don't have the New Jersey Invents materials that we chose for this exhibit, all of them up, but many are. And again, we can see them out in the lobby after this. Okay, one of the things that's very, very important is that we don't just throw things into a repository without knowing what they are and having description. How over am I, Corey?
You're fine.
Oh, good. Okay. The real thing we strive for, though, I think in life is well, there are a couple of things. in all of it doesn't pour into a glass, but one of them is that we strive for fun and satisfaction, knowledge and creative experiences. And I'm always finding myself getting stuck on something that I can't let go of because I love it so much. And I just keep working it and working. What can we do with this? But we had the greatest experience the other day. We use not as many as we'd like, but we do get help from our amazing students at the School of Communication and Information next door. And one of them is working for us this summer. He's doing imaging, he's doing metadata, he's doing the whole realm of digital library work. And he came upon this thing, which is about what? Interesting as looking at mud. It just doesn't kind of pop out like images do. But he read it. And he said, wow. He said, can this be right? But let me ask you all, who invented the Reaper? Who invented the architectural Reaper? And don't you tell. I know you know. Anybody? Who? Archimedes.
Actually, if you read the thing.
Well, you can't see it from there, can you? Oh, I can't. Well, that would be Tenek. Everybody thinks that it's Cyrus McCormick. That's what I learned in junior high school, and I believed it until last week. Our student was reading this, though. It's a description of, is this a patent, Grace? No, this is just a description. Okay, so it's a flyer for his invention. Tenek, James Tenek, lived in Somerset County, and in 1825 he developed a Reaper. And the description of it, which comes from a copy of the the Journal of Rutgers University Library, says, Tenek's Reaper had a horizontal cylinder with spiral knives cutting against straight edges. It was calculated to work by manual labor or with a horse. Among the advantages of his machine, he mentioned the facts that one hand and a horse will cut and secure as many as 3 cradlers and 3 binders in one day. And on and on and on, all of this labor-saving information. On the other end, then, in 1834, Cyrus McCormick stepped up and put in for a patent for his Reaper. And it was turned down. The patent office said it had been used before, and the specifications in the drawing in the patent's office conclusively established the fact that James Tenek patented the reel or revolving rack or revolving frame in 1825. He is the inventor. Unfortunately, it didn't actually work. It really didn't work. And so McCormick ultimately prevailed in the commercial world. But our student was so excited, having grown up believing in McCormick and his Reaper, and he thought a terrible, terrible wrong had been done. And this is the kind of serendipity and excitement that history research is so notable for. I think that's why all historians love it so much. So even the things that don't look necessarily promising on the surface may be a real treasure. So the takeaway is this. We need to become more than archivists. We're good archivists. We're good physical archivists, and now we're really good digital archivists. We've had 10 years, thanks to the information that we got, from the award that we got from the Institute for Museum and Library Services. So the other thing that we need one of the ways that we step up our game, one of them is to engage better with our audience. I think this is the right time in New Jersey. We're really very happy to be working with both Cheryl and Mary, both of them leaders in library services, and with much better connections, frankly, than the university does to the bigger community. And I'm so looking forward to this next 10 years? We'll see. So how do we step up our game? How do we go from being a good digital library to being a great one, such that we can really be a hub for all of the constituents in the state? Immersive collections are the first thing. We do want to get, as I say, the Cyrus McCormick Van Eyck document did not look great. So some of it needs to engage, we need to engage with historians and people who can help make the selections to get the kind of information in that we know is sought for and needed. You can't digitize everything. We have to be strategic about that. And there are many other things that we need to do, but in the end, society does preserve what it values, but it only values what it finds useful. So here is the NJDH in all its rainbow colors. We'd love to become the road most traveled, but we want to do it collaboratively. We don't want the New Jersey Digital Highway to be seen as a creature of Rutgers. It's a creature of New York State. I meant New Jersey, I was kidding. So thank you very much, and Mary, you want to come back up in case there are questions? One of the most inventive things I've ever seen actually was Mary's notes for her talk today. It had red and blue lines like this. I had no idea how she was reading it. Okay. Questions?
There's a whole cluster over
Oh my. Black shirt. You give the next one.
How much interaction are you having with governmental agencies? Because just briefly, I chair the Morris County Heritage Commission, which is the history commission. We've got rather extensive archives going back to even before the birth of the Republic. They're well cared for in their original forms, but the county freeholders do not get the long-term value. We certainly don't have the budget for digitization or wider distribution, and that's the whole point of our being there. Is there any way we could interact with you?
Yeah. Two things are going on. One will be what we determine to do locally. And Cheryl and I were talking the other day, we're saying that, this probably isn't one central hub in the end. It's probably distributed. We don't have a system here in this state that is built exclusively on county systems, as some states do, where there might be a hub in each county. But there will be a conversation about that and how we reach out. The other piece that's happening nationally that is beyond what we'd be doing here in New Jersey, but would certainly help inform it, is there's a national organization called Heritage Preservation. And 10 years ago, they did a Heritage Health Index. Their survey was very extensive. It did museums, it did libraries. It's not a total census, it's a survey, it's a sampling. They did historical associations, town clerks' offices, state libraries, major urban libraries, and they get that sample. Some of the findings 10 years ago were that there was just a terrible sparsity of how many places actually had preservation as a line item, or had a professional to help with those areas. This time, they're doing their anniversary here, their 10-year anniversary survey, and they're going into digitization. How many collections have been digitized, and what do you have in place in terms of actually preserving your digitized collections and being prepared for the migration that you may need there. So there are a couple things coming up. There absolutely will be outreach beyond our own little cultural heritage institutions, to looking and recognizing that there are archival materials in other places that are also of value. Did we cover enough for you?
Please give your cards to Linda and Mary, and we want to hear from anybody who has collections. So just give your cards or emails.
Yeah, I would just add one thing to what Mary said, is that what I also do see that there may be many hubs. We do have to be very, very careful about having a solid platform for those places, those hubs, to store their information. And I think that what I really see with New Jersey Digital Highway is sort of a dearth of services that what I end up doing, every library, it seems, has some different idea of what they want and how they want it done. And we try to funnel them into our system, which you would think would make it sort of standardized, but it doesn't really work that way. So I think that, a wide sharing of information and techniques and approaches is one of the places we can start.